It's the biggest night in UFC history, with 2 world titles on the line and a card for the ages.
15 years ago, on July 11, 2009, the UFC reached a milestone that forever changed the world of mixed martial arts. Under the bright lights of the Mandalay Bay Event Center in Las Vegas, UFC 100 wasn't just another fight card. It was the moment the UFC proved it was here to stay, cementing its place as a powerhouse in global sports. It was that event that had it all: star power, unforgettable rivalries, and jaw-dropping moments. At the top of the card, a heavyweight title rematch between 2 bitter foes, Brock Lesnar and Frank Mir. The co-main event saw George St-Pierre, the welterweight king, defend his title against the relentless Thiago Alves. And who could forget Dan Henderson's earth-shattering knockout of Michael Bisping, a moment so iconic it literally became his logo. To understand why UFC 100 was so monumental, you have to look back at the roots of the UFC and the struggles it faced in its early days. When UFC 1 debuted in 1993, it was a no-holds-barred spectacle, marketed as an ultimate test of fighting styles. But to many, it was seen as barbaric. Critics like Senator John McCain labeled it human cockfighting, and the sport quickly gained a reputation as violent and unregulated.
Where is this legal generally, and where is it not legal generally?
Well, what was amazing about this sport is, thanks to John McCain, he wrote letters to all 50 governors, and it became banned in virtually every single state.
Then, in 2001, Zuffa, led by Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta, purchased the UFC and appointed Dana White as the president. Mike Goldberg explains on the broadcast of UFC 30 where the future of the UFC was heading.
Jersey, as we are set tonight for UFC 30. Tonight signifies a new beginning with new leadership, with great vision. And tonight we promise you to take what is already the Super Bowl of mixed martial arts to a higher level. And someday, everyone will talk about the UFC as the premier sporting event in the world.
From that point forward, the UFC really started gaining momentum. In 2005, they launched The Ultimate Fighter, a reality TV show that brought MMA into the mainstream households. The series was a hit. It showcased both athleticism and personal stories of the fighters. Its success led to the explosive growth of the UFC, with marquee stars such as Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Tito Ortiz, and many others capturing the fans' imaginations. The sport, once regulated to the shadows, began to thrive. UFC 100 was a culmination of all these efforts, a milestone that celebrated how far the organization and the sport had come. It was no longer just about surviving. It was now about thriving. The event symbolized a new benchmark for the UFC, solidifying its place as a global powerhouse in sports and entertainment, and laid the foundation for an even brighter future. UFC 100 wasn't just a fight night, it was a celebration, and George St-Pierre brought the party. A fighter so well-rounded he seemed engineered for the sport. Dom made Thiago Alves with precision and heart, even fighting through a groin injury to secure a unanimous decision. Alves came in with belief, but as the rounds ticked by, hope faded under the relentless pressure of GSP's brilliance. On the undercard, we had a passing of the torch between generations, as old-school badass and now UFC Hall of Famer Mark Coleman fought Stephan Bonnar and won via unanimous decision. Also, newcomer but future GOAT Jon Jones made his 3rd ever walk to the octagon when he submitted Jake O'Brien in the 2nd round. This was a passing of the torch between the old school generation of Mark Coleman to the future in Jon Jones. But the night truly belonged to Brock Lesnar. The former WWE star turned MMA powerhouse proved his dominance with a brutal display of ground and pound that left no doubt who the heavyweight king was. And who could forget his post-fight interview?
The champ, Brock Lesnar. First of all, Brock, congratulations. You got your revenge. Give us your thoughts on the fight.
I love it. Keep going. Keep going. I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing. I'm going to sit down with my friends and family. And hell, I might even get on top of my wife tonight. See y'all later.
Lesnar showered in booze, reveled in the moment, calling out sponsors, celebrating his way, and delivering a quote that had everyone talking. UFC 100 was more than just a night of unforgettable fights. It was a pivotal moment in sports history. It marked the UFC's transformation from a niche spectacle into a global phenomenon. Just 2 years later, the UFC inked an exclusive deal with Fox, bringing MMA to primetime network television. That momentum only grew, culminating in a $1.5 billion partnership with ESPN, and in 2016, Zubac's historic $4 billion sale of the UFC to Endeavor. Today, the UFC stands as the undisputed leader in mixed martial arts, boasting global brand partnerships and a presence in countries around the world. What began as a raw and controversial mixed martial art competition has evolved into one of the most respected and valuable sports organizations on the planet. UFC 100 wasn't just a milestone, it was a foundation for the empire the UFC has become. It set the table for greatness, forever etching its place in the annals of sports history.